That was like a deja vu. It just came in and came in again. Anyway, that's my sucky video editing over here on live television, on live video. But anyway, I'm very excited for today's show. I wanted to thank you for being here. I love the music. They got new music background. Love that because it's like very chill, nice. But we have a special guest today, and I enjoy these talks. They're very informative. They help a lot of people out. And this is one of those that is just going to bring you to a broader place as you grow in your real estate investments as well as other investments as an investor. As you grow your investment savvy IQ, this is going to be a great one today. And I want to welcome Steven Carpio from Charter Oak. Hi, Steven. How are you?
Hi, Zomara. How are you? Thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Um, Today, we're going to talk about being bulletproof because it's a crazy market and the rates, just letting people know the rates are going rocketing right now. They were going back in November, and it's just a matter of like a few months. Back in November, you were seeing in the threes, uh, high twos, threes. Boom! All of a sudden, now we're like in the fives,
Yeah, it's increasing
five,
very rapidly.
fours. You can't even see high fours anymore. We're in the fives, mid fives, going into the six. So, and it doesn't seem like they're stopping. It's a train, and it's just taking everything with it. Um, so one of the things that I wanted to bring to the people that are listening is what are some of the things that we could do through various tools out there that we have available for us, that we could do to protect ourselves and become bulletproof no matter what the market's doing, whether it's going up, down, whatever it's happening in the market. And that's what I wanted to bring you on with your expertise to tell us a little bit about what are some of the things that we could do to protect, our mortgage, for instance, one of the things. Oh, and also, first, I like to do a little introduction of how did you start it? Just a little brief. How did you start doing what you're doing? Right now,
Yes.
you're a managing director at Mass Mutual in Melville, New York, and you enjoy what you do. Um, and how did you start? What got you started?
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Zomara, for that introduction. And I've been in this industry for almost 10 years now. My whole life I've been in management, sales, really helping people. Really, that's been my passion. I think that financial services is probably, if not the number one of the top three, but number one thing that everybody should think about throughout their life. If it's either right now in the moment, if it's for the future, or if it's for the future of their kids, because in different communities there's a lot of lack of education when it comes to financial planning.
Mhm.
Myself, what really attracted me to this industry 10 years ago was, I come from a background of Latino family came here 40, 50 years ago to have a better life in this country. And a lot of lack of education really affected us early on when I was younger. My parents really were affected tremendously because of the lack of education when it came to financial planning. So, through my years of growing up, going to college, graduating, once I got the opportunity to join financial services, I looked back at everything that I went through with my family and friends, because I have a lot of family and friends that also went through similar situations. And again, lack of education, of not knowing about financial planning. And joining the company, there's a lot of opportunities when just joining the company, right? Not just to be a public service and educate clients, but also to educate yourself. Because when I came here 10 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about financial planning. And financial planning has so many different levels, right? You start from the insurance route and then to the investment, right? There's two sides to it. And usually the insurance route is the route where you begin to kind of the protection where you were talking about.
Mhm.
I think that Insurance itself, life insurance is probably one of the biggest things nowadays that we're talking about with a lot of families to protect every single step of what they do in their life. And, one of the biggest things now, what you're talking about, Ziomara, is, how to protect a home.
Hmm.
A lot of people always think about, we think about when we buy a house, we're getting homeowners insurance. We got to pay a mortgage, we pay utilities, but then sometimes we forget one of the most important things, that if I have a home and I'm investing into a $500,000 mortgage, what happens if tomorrow I'm not here? What
Hmm.
happens if I'm the breadwinner and my wife has, we have two kids, and my wife and kids now don't work currently because I'm the breadwinner of the family, so I'm paying mortgage, I'm paying all the expenses. And what if I'm not here tomorrow, right? What's going to happen to my wife and my kids? They're going to be tremendously affected. They're going to have to probably most likely sell the house, and if they don't want to sell the house, my wife is going to have to go to work, right? Something she probably hasn't done in a year or 2 years because she's a stay-at-home mom. She's taking care of the kids. And again, don't get me wrong, staying home, being a stay-at-home mom is as valuable as the person who's working. Because if my wife would have to go to work, we would have to pay for a babysitter, right? We would have so much more expenses. So
Hmm.
my wife being home, and all the, wives and mothers being home, you're tremendously appreciated, because the work that you do is very similar to, bringing in $100,000 to $150,000 income on an annual basis. But then
Yeah.
again, you do have your kids, and if your breadwinner husband is not around and he was the one that was had to pay for the home, it really tremendously affects the whole family. So I think that, just a short education of how, mortgage protection works, right? Someone takes out a $500,000 policy of, well, $500,000 mortgage, right? Now that mortgage is for 30 years. You're paying an interest, right? And let's say, God forbid, I pass away tomorrow, you can actually get a policy that would cover you for $500,000 for 30 years, mortgage protection, we call it. And our company would pay your entire mortgage off. So if I die tomorrow, my wife has that policy. She claims that policy, $500,000, and that $500,000 goes to the mortgage company, pays off my mortgage, and now
Hmm.
my wife can continue to take care of my kids, not have to go back to work. She has a home, she doesn't have to pay a mortgage, and she doesn't have to entirely change her whole life, because now this life insurance or mortgage protection
Hmm.
insurance policy has covered her for any mortgage expenses from the house. So I think, those are one of the biggest things that I would say that a lot of people are currently not really thinking about 100%, because they're like, oh, I don't want that extra expense. Well, my mortgage
Hmm.
is already, $3,000. Why not add another $100 or $50 a month to be able to protect my investment? Because a home is a very valuable investment that we're putting all our life savings and our entire energy and everything we have inside of us and our family to be
Hmm.
able to build this beautiful dream home. Why not protect it if, God forbid, I was not to be here tomorrow, right? Because again, we feel that, we're going to live forever, right? I feel
Yeah.
I have many years to go, but again, death doesn't come in ages. It can be someone who's young to all the ways to someone who's, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I've seen in my
Hmm.
career the last 10 years of how many young people have passed away, 30s and 40s, who've left kids behind, mortgages unpaid, families have to move out, sell the house, and it just becomes such a financial burden. So I think
Oh yeah.
that is probably one of the most important things I would say.
And that's not even like saying like if you're a housewife, it could be a working partner, because nowadays expenses are so much. I know most women are working and they're managing everything, still managing the households, working, bringing in half, but it still could be detrimental to have one of the partners not be there with their income, and all of a sudden now you find yourself with this big nut all by yourself and your children. Like that's another thing. Very little time, and on top of that, now you got added stress. So whether you're working mom or not, it's still a good thing if you're thinking, oh, but she works, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's a big burden still. And I think it's a great thing for people to actually keep that in their back of the heads. And what give us some of the formulas, um, because obviously you buy your real estate, you have your home, um, you're growing in investments, you want to protect the investments. What are some of the formulas? This is one of the things that we don't have enough information out there for. What are some of the formulas that we have for becoming bulletproof?
So some of the formulas,
As far as like, yeah, so as far as like, they say emergency fund, that should be 3 to 6 months. That's one formula. So whatever you're making a month, you should have 3 to 6 months of that, right? But there's other
right.
formulas, like whatever your house payment is, it should be like 120 days of your investment. What are some of the formulas that we could share with people so that they could start thinking about these things?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different types of products and services that we can implement into, when somebody buys a house, right? There's a lot of investors out there who, love the properties, right? The real estate. They love to buy homes.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes people feel like, hey, I love the properties, but I'm not crazy about investing into the stock market. So there are some formulas where, if people love to invest into real estate, we do have a lot of services and options where they can invest in certain products that can allow them to also build equity, dividends, savings through certain policies that are very guaranteed, just very similar to how a home, if someone's investing, right? Because some people usually they buy a home as an investment, or they'll buy a home as their primary home for their family to build a family and their dream home. But a lot of investors out there nowadays might have 2, 3 homes, and they're looking for other opportunities out there that are very similar to the homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Process, the safeness, because again, buying a home is not 100% safe, but it definitely is a lot safer than putting your money into the stock market, where the market could go down and you can lose your money instantly, right? Homes, yeah, you can lose money as well, but with time, you're still getting that rental income. Maybe if the property goes down a little bit, it'll eventually go up. But usually, if you're getting a property rental, rental income, that you continue to make that, that income that you've always wanted. So we have certain, formulas that, sometimes we tell people also is, using, 10% of, and annually what someone makes. So if I make, let's say, $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year, the idea would be is to at least put 10% of what you make into one of our, policies or services that we offer to be able to build that equity, that savings. And we put that into an investment that will allow you to be able to make that 4 to 5 to 6% on more of like a guaranteed side
Mm-hmm.
than basically like a variable side, right? Again, and I'm talking about the stock market. Stock market, again, I'm not nothing against stock market. I love the stock market. I have 401k. I'm building a pension, and that's all through the stock market. But as we're always told, we're always told that we need to diversify our portfolio. Do
Yeah,
not put
definitely.
all your eggs in one basket, right? That's why a lot of our investors, have homes, they have a 401k, they have a pension, but there are other products and services that are more guaranteed that we can definitely educate the communities, where there's not that much risk, where they can get a 4, 5, 6% return, and also get that protection that I was talking about before as well, where if God forbid something were to happen, my mortgage would be paid off. So not only having mortgage protection, but also bundling it into another process, another system where you're going to start generating an interest year after year after year, where instead of pulling out of your home as an equity line, maybe you can pull out of this product or service that you can use to be able to buy more assets or do anything in your life that you need from, again, buying another house, your kids are going to college, your kids are getting married, you're trying to help your kids, you buy a home or buy a car, or when you have grandkids, or again, when you retire. Because again, in this, world that we're living in now, they're saying Social Security is going to be gone, right?
Yeah.
Pensions are disappearing, 401ks are disappearing. So if we're not proactively looking for these services, they're not going to come to us as they used to come back in the day through jobs, right? So we have to proactively look for advisors like ourselves to be able to set up a plan, a blueprint where we can have, a goal and a, roadmap for them to be able to be successful.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And well, there's the rule of thumb to investing is, they say put 20% of what you make, like pay yourself first. That's in every book that I've read. Uh, they basically have the same idea on all of it, 10 to 20%. So
Yes.
if you're making 50, you should be putting, if you can't put that away, then you're extending yourself way too much, and you should not. You should look for ways to cut back, pay things off. Well, the first thing is paying debt off, because that's a big nut there, your debt, because it's growing at a rate of whatever your debt is. But if it's credit card debt, that's pretty high.
Right.
That's anywhere from 15, 16% to 25%. If you have personal loans, that's in the 20%. That's a big nut there. But paying that first, and uh, definitely saving 5 to 10% of your income. And like you said, diversifying, that's a big one.
I think, Giovanna, from
Protection,
what you
some
said,
people,
I think from what you
yeah.
said as well is very important because we're financial advisors, right? We, not only are we offering these services, right? We have services from, again, insurance to investments and protection for your home and equity and building savings. But we also could sit with, a client and really help them to budget themselves, right? Educate them on just the example. Hey, let's look at your expenses. Let's look at your debts. Let's look at how we can maybe, sometimes people paying 20, 25% on credit cards where they don't need to pay that much money, right? Because again, the education's not there. So, when we do sit down with the client, we're going to look at every single angle of their financial planning. We're going to look at their debts, what they pay on a monthly basis, what's coming in. If it's coming in only from your job, some people have other assets outside of their job. Some people have rental income coming in. So we're going to look at all of that. We're going to look at your expenses. You look at your debt, see what you have disposable every month. And if you're telling me, hey, Steve, I don't have enough disposable income, then there might be some things that you're spending on a monthly basis that you're not aware of, that I can make you aware of from our conversation and our consultation that we'll go through the process, right? So there's so many angles that we can go through to kind of help you to be in a better position.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to, cut corners. So now you're able to have this energy. You're young. You're able to do many different things. Set yourself up now that you're young, so that you can have a better future. Because if you're strapped now and your finances are, tight, what's going to happen in the future with this inflation? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to live? How are you going to, you got to think about these things. How are you going to survive? And even now, right now with Social Security, I see what Social Security pays. Nothing. It really doesn't cover much. It might cover a very, very tight type of living. So you can't just say, okay, so yeah, whatever, later on I'll retire. No, you got to think about these things now. And while you're young, while you could do these things, and while it's still accessible and affordable. And it might be, you have to watch where you're spending your money, and you might have to cancel some subscriptions. But to have a better retirement, a better life, and to be able to have, grow as an investor, whether it's in real estate or in other areas, if you diversify, that's the best way to become bulletproof. diversifying yourself, because usually if the market's doing good, the real estate market's not so, and vice versa. So if you're well diversified, one of your investments went south, you still have the other ones to pick up
Exactly.
from. So that's a very, very good advice. Diversify, diversify, and diversify 3 times. Um,
Diversify.
so for self-employed, what options do you have? Like if they're self-employed, they're investing in real estate, what are some of the advice that you would say you have for those individuals?
Well, for self-employed, a lot of people who are self-employed usually have, they take control of everything, right? Usually we look at corporate companies, and corporate companies comes from above, and let's say if you're an owner or a manager, you're getting benefits, your employees are getting benefits, right? But when you're the actual owner of a company and you have, let's say, a small company of, let's say, 10 to 15 employees, or even 50 to 100 employees, what we see a lot is that a lot of the employers don't have any benefits, right? When it comes to just in general, a retirement benefit, right? Obviously, when you're a self-employed, you're not getting a 401k. It might be something more like a SEP IRA, or you can also do an individual IRA, but there are a lot of different retirement plans that we can set up for employers that are very similar to 401ks, 403bs, and pensions. And a lot of times when I sit down with employers, they'll just tell me, hey, Steve, this is my retirement, right? My business. But what I say is that that's a little bit tough because, God forbid your business goes, south and it goes out of business totally, you can lose a lot. And sometimes if we're not planning ahead of time, in the long run, it could really affect that employer. So retirement planning,
Yeah.
right? Another big thing is if you have an employer has a partner. So example, if me and you, Xiomara, we're partners on a business. What if I pass away tomorrow, right? If I pass away tomorrow, Xiomara, you're going to have to deal with my wife now, and my wife is going to be your partner. But my wife might have different ideas than you do, Xiomara. And
Mhm.
then what happens is they start to bump heads. So there
Mhm.
is a product, a policy, or service that's called a buy-sell agreement, where usually you get a life insurance policy on each owner. And if I pass away, now that life insurance is given to you, Xiomara, the actual benefit, let's say $1 million. And now those $1 million you can take and you can pay my wife off and say, hey, wife, Mrs. Wife, here's $1 million. I want to take control of the entire company. I want you to sell me your piece. And usually there's a 90% chance that that wife or significant other will say, no problem. I don't want to deal with the headaches. I saw what my husband went through or my wife went through, and I don't want to go through that. No problem. Take over the company. And now you have full access, 100% of the business. And guess what? Those $1 million didn't come out of your pocket, right? Because your partner who's not here anymore was the one that was paying for that policy. So it's a buy sell agreement. Well, another policy also is called a key person insurance. So usually when you are the owner of a business, you usually have a right hand man. You usually have a person that you trust, usually a person that you started the business with from 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And if for any reason that key person were to pass away, we can also protect that key person with a life insurance policy. So, God forbid that key person passed away. Again, that $1 million would be given to the employer, and now the employer can use that money to be able to hire, train, develop, mentor a brand new high caliber key person or key employee that can come right into that business and start to be as effective as the last person that was there. And that's only from a death, right? So there are a lot of different policies that are surrounded through death. There also is like an executive bonus policy where you can actually, again, choose your key person and really fund that policy so that key person is happy. So it's kind of like a retirement savings plan where the employer itself can fund it. We
Mhm.
put into some investments where they can make a nice interest. And now that key person has a policy that they're saying, wow, it's a 401k, I can take out money, I can use it. And now that key person stays with you for the rest of your career, rest of your business, because right now retention is important. A lot of people are looking for companies that are offering benefits. And if you're not offering benefits and that company over there is offering benefits, well, guess where that key person is going to go? They're going to go to that company that offers great benefits, right? So again, not only you as the employer getting benefits for yourself and your partner and your business, but also helping your employees, because retention is important. People want to go work where they're getting taken care of. And if you're not getting taken care of, you're not getting they're not getting benefits, they're going to leave you. They're going to stay for a little bit and leave, right? So we also have a lot of benefits for in their employees. A lot of employers have 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 employees that have absolutely no benefits whatsoever, no retirement, no pension, no life insurance, no disability. We can also help and educate those employers, those business owners, to help those employees, receive benefits, not only for them, but also their spouses, their children, and anybody in their family that they would like to, protect or set up some type of financial planning. So there's so many different angles we can take this. If the employer wants to just concentrate on them and their partners, great. Or if the employer wants to concentrate on their employees, we also have a platform for that as well.
Yes, it's a very broad discussion, and I know, and it's gonna take a couple more times, and I would appreciate if you could come on maybe a couple more times to kind of
100%.
raise
Yes.
and talk a little bit more about what options are out there, because I know every case is individually unique, and that's why you should call and sit down with Steven Carpio and or myself, and devise some time for this, because that's one of the problems. We so busy, we don't have time to actually sit down and look at the numbers and look at the reality of things, because you think tomorrow I'm going to be here, the next day I'm going to be here, and everything's going to be the same, and that's not a reality. Nothing is going to be the same, but you don't know how is that going to change. But becoming bulletproof should be everybody's priority, in essence, because there's so many shifts in the economy, there's so many shifts in the market, and the real estate market is no different than any other markets. There's shifts, and if you're bulletproof, then it doesn't matter what happens. You're set, you're taken care of one way or another. So very important. I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. I appreciate it. And you can look in here in the bottom, is scrolling right there. You see
Yes.
his phone number. If you wanted to call him, that's your cell phone.
Yes. My cell phone number.
516-843, or the also the
Email.
or the email. So give him a call, sit down with him and pick his brain. And one last question is,
Yes.
a lot of people think about diversifying investing and all this stuff as so out of reach. It really is not. It depends on your budget, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We're not here to, I've been in this business for 10 years, and for me, I want to help every single client out there. We look at your budget, and that's why, Xiomara, when I spoke to you before about, looking at clients' expenses, what's coming in, what's coming out, their debts, from that little, exercise, we will find out what your actual budget is. And if your budget is $100, $200, or even $50 a month, we're going to work around your budget, because again, we're not here to sell you. We're not here to give you something that's going to affect you, right? We're here to put you in a position to succeed. We're going to put you in a position to also save, protect, and at the same time make sure that it's affordable for you, because this is a long-lasting process that you're going to have to commit to for 20, 30 years, that you're going to have to invest into it until you retire. It could be 10 years, 15 years, or if you're in your 20s, this could be something that you're going to do for the next 40 years of your life till you retire. So you're
Mhm.
going to have to be committed, right? You're going to have to discipline yourself. But the great thing about this whole process is that, we're here to help you through that discipline, because a
Mhm.
lot of times, that's all it really takes. Some people might say, Steve, I need somebody to just, kind of push me. It's kind of like,
Accountability partner,
it
like
is.
need
It
that
really is.
accountability partner to say, hey, every so often, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Did we pay this off? Great. Let's do this other thing. And it basically helps you with a plan, and which
Yeah.
is surprisingly enough, there's not enough people that plan. They
There's
they
not.
don't have a
There's not. There's not at
and
all. A lot of
and it,
people don't plan at all.
no, no, and it's so important to have a plan. Don't shy away from sitting down. It's consultation is free.
Free consultation. Yep.
Yeah, and you can sit down and have at least walk away with a plan. I did it for myself, and I tell you, it's life changing. It really is. It basically gives you the footsteps of what it could be, what you want it to be. It'll put things in perspective, and it'll show you what you need to do to get to where you want to go as an investor and individually as well.
Yeah.
Steven, thank you so much. Any last words that you want to say to our viewers?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity, Xiomara, to jump on this great platform. That's what we want to do. We want to impact families, help them, educate them. We're here to do, public service. We're here to do anything that will help you and your family, your kids, the future of your kids, your generations to come, right? Generations is very important nowadays. Very excited to be back on next time. So hope to see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next Retalk TV.